I want to take a thought where it hasn't been before, but first, a rampage of appreciation. I appreciate Esther giving you voice, because Abraham, you are subtle.
We do too. We're so subtle, most don't hear us at all.
Indeed. So sometimes I have to be in quiet, and everybody has to be quiet, and the birds have to be right, just to hear. So when Esther is allowing her vessel and give you voice, and this interaction is always most satisfying to me, although we're connected.
And you all are important to this voice too.
Indeed.
Because without the activation of what you're about, you wouldn't be summoning anything. And then we would just be talking about things that are important to Esther, and there's a much broader conversation to be had, isn't there?
Indeed.
Yeah.
I appreciate the crew. It's always great. I like...
None better on the planet.
Yes, I love it. It's good. You're on YouTube. Technology is awesome. Jeannie, outside, the whole crew, they always welcome. It's always brilliant. I have absolutely appreciation to its maximum. Thank you. One of the things in the past that when you say it, it always makes sense. And then I go, I'm not sure if I agree with Abraham about this.
These are our favorite conversations.
I like to bring it to you. Subconscious mind. When I hear you, when other people bring the question to you, what I hear you say is when it's subconscious, when you're not aware of it, and I get it, the reception is not there, it's not important. One thing that I'd like to talk about, the internal dialogue, because a lot of Abraham followers, when we're not here, when we're talking to each other, it's common for us to see others who are not applying your teaching. So sometimes when we're in the seat, someone is in a hot seat, it's very clear that you're giving the answer, but they're not hearing it. My interpretation on that is sometimes is the programming or the habitual things that's interpreted as an internal dialogue that's preventing them. You're flowing the love, but if internally they're saying, I'm not worthy, it bounces right off them.
Sometimes they have an active belief that keeps them from hearing in this moment. Yeah.
And when I go back to the recordings of our talking, I've definitely have been in that category for quite a bit of our interaction.
When we talk with you or anyone, we're giving you conversation that will serve you for the next 20 years, maybe more. Because we're anticipating what you're going to ask next and 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 next. And so we're talking to you at many levels of your being. And that's why when you listen back to recordings, you swear that wasn't on it last time you heard it. Because you weren't in the receptive mode of that. But now life has put you into a different place. And now you can hear the question that we were answering that you'd already asked, but that you weren't ready to hear. Yeah.
One of the things that's really exciting to me when I'm in exchange with other humans, other people, when they get it and when we're together, that really excites me. I like that in their eyes, there's a shift that happens. And witnessing that.
Here's something that we want to say to you that's thrilling to us about that. Sometimes, in fact, often, that shift doesn't happen right here and now. But we know that now they're queued up for it. Their life experience is going to cause them to attract something, and they're going to get it then. And we always get to see that. You don't, it's not on video. We always get to see that.
It's exciting to me as well when I witness that. And so as a teacher, as an uplifter, I like more of that, being the catalyst for other people for them to find it.
Well, here's the thing. We like that too. But if you're going to be an influencer, we're so happy about the conversation about the water because it makes it easy for you to hear it. If you enjoy being the influencer, then you cannot turn your attention toward what you're trying to influence. Because if they don't get it, and you notice that they're not being influenced, you lose your influence. So don't look too hard for those results too immediately, but just trust that the universe is going to line you up with the realization when they get it.
How does one be a teacher knowing that? It's really trippy to me. I really like it when you ask people, we're trying to reach that person. If we can't reach them, what makes you think you can help them reach?
What we mean by that is don't take score in this moment, because there is a path of the thoughts turning to things. And if you're not so eager to need to see the thing turn to already, then you can enjoy the journey. Because we know that there's a natural progressive journey. We know that eventually they are going to be there. It doesn't matter if it's not right now, this red hot minute. We are offering, and you are too, continually. And people are receiving whatever they're receiving. But if you get twirled up in the timing of their receiving, then you'll be twirled up in your reception.
I hear your answer, but what I meant to ask is, as a teacher, I already know they don't really need me as a teacher because they have the connection.
Oh, but what about influence? Isn't it nice to bring your influence of knowing close enough? If this water contraption works, and it does, then why does it work? Because the water that has just recently been renewed through this, let's call it a vibrational aeration, as this stagnant water has been refreshed. And then this refreshed water can refresh other water. If water, the consciousness of water, can be refreshed, then isn't it easy to see how when you're refreshed, what your influence can be to those who are around you? And do they need to get it all the way? It doesn't matter. You can't get twirled up in that. We want your influence to be for you everything that you want it to be, and it is. We're not trying to talk you out of your influence. We're just wanting to guide you in ways that you won't trip up over your own inability sometimes to influence those that are not ready to be influenced.
I understand.
And so?
I'm really milking it. I'm actually done. But one thing that what I really appreciate about our exchanges, and I guess for confirmation for me, it brings my energy level to absolutely something that hasn't been before.
Yeah, that's co-creating at its best.
And then I take comfort in knowing that I can never be less, because there's
because there is no regression. You can't go back from that knowing.
Indeed.
But you can stand in less receptive modes for a moment. It's like knowing what you don't want has caused you to know what you do want. And you've done that often, and so there are a lot of components that have begun to cooperate with each other. All of the components of all of your desire have become cooperative components, and they're cooperating with each other. So as they are cooperating with each other, and law of attraction is now responding to them, now you are, when you're in the receiving mode, drawn into that, so you know what that is. Under this experience, we stand as that influencer because we are under the influence. There's no separation in our vibration whatsoever. So as you focus and think and flow and be and appreciate and enjoy and feel satisfaction, you join us in that frequency. And you said it, in that thoughts beyond what has ever been before. So it's not just you catching up with us, it's you catching up with what we together have just become. It's a new creation that we are enjoying together. Now, we can sustain that frequency forevermore. You probably won't, because you're living life experiences, and there are other things that are going to sort of influence you. You might be under the influence of other things that are introducing a little resistance into the equation. But you own this because you created this, and we created this together, and we will forevermore hold that vibrational frequency active and ready for your receiving of that refreshment anytime you get in the vicinity of it, you see. That's why it gets better and better and better. And once you are at this place that you are at, where you understand the laws of the universe and you get how all of this fits together, and then you genuinely enjoy this excursion into this leading edge place that has not been before, and you feel it even though you cannot really understand it. There's so many components to it that the details of it haven't manifested in a way that you can see it, but they're going to. What we just did was give birth to a magnificent vibration that is gestating, and it's ready to be born. And when you are ready to receive, life is going to give you glimpses and then full view of what it was. And as that happens, the satisfaction just washes over you. You know how you began with the conversation about, you really wanted to have a conversation, but you knew we weren't going to go there, about subconscious thought, because we say if it's subconscious and it's not active enough to produce any emotion, then it's not a big player in your vibration. However, what just happened in this conversation is we've acknowledged that you've put pieces and 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 pieces of desire into your vibrational reality, that there is this vortex that law of attraction is gathering all of the cooperative components. And so the wholeness of what is gathered and its relationship to each other is much more than the sum of all the parts that you put into it. It's huge. And once you get source energy focused upon it, it's an epic vortexual experience as it is becoming more and more and more and more and more and more. You could say that it's full of all of that subconscious thought because you can't sort it out. You were a contributor to it, but you can't know it. You can't really focus upon any part of it. So here it is. It's gestating. It's getting less and less subconscious and more conscious. And it is completely conscious to your inner being, might not be known to you. That's why you want to call it subconscious. I've created something that I don't even understand all the dynamics of how I've created it. Nor do you need to. That's why we were saying that when Esther saw that documentary that you were talking about What the Bleep, it was a really disconcerting experience for Esther because her inner world is calm and peaceful and clear and satisfying. And that looked like chaos because it was trying to explain all of the pieces of it that Esther's mind doesn't have the ability to comprehend. And so she wanted to step back further from it. It's like when you get into your vehicle, you don't need to know how all the pistons work or how all the stuff works, the belts and pulleys and whatever's happening electronically. You don't need to understand it. All you need to know is how you make the thing start and how you make the thing go where you want it to go and how fast and slow you. In other words, you're not dealing with all of the complexities of that, nor do you need to, nor do you want to. You don't need to deal with the complexities of the subatomic levels of your physical apparatus or of the world that you live in. That's not something that you need to be conscious about. You could be. Humans think they need to be conscious of it, but it's all working. You don't need to be. Nobody understands electricity, not one of you. There's not a human on the planet that understands electricity. And yet you have harnessed it, you're utilizing it, you're benefiting from it, and you're flipping switches all over the place that are benefiting you from it. You don't need to know all of those subconscious things about electricity. Even those that have given their entire life's work to understanding it, they don't get where it comes from, they don't know what it is, they're not relating it to vibration, they're not knowing what it is in relationship to non-physical. You're not even close in understanding what it is, and yet you're benefiting from it. So, all of these subconscious, and we're getting to a really important thing that you're asking for. So all of these subconscious thoughts, let's call them subconscious because you put them in, you're not aware of them, but there is an emotion that you're feeling, you sure can feel it. You can't see it or hear it or smell it or taste it or touch it. Yeah, you can't define it or even identify it, but it's there and you can feel it. So then as you sit to meditate and you allow your vibration to rise, and now you are in the receiving mode of it, now what this is and all the knowledge of this, all the becoming of this begins to flow into your conscious mind. So you get an impulse. You hear a word maybe. You feel a desire formulating within you. So what happens is this stuff that was all subconscious to you and full consciousness to your inner being, when you become a vibrational equivalent to it, then you are able to begin to define the subconscious into the fully conscious, or turning the thoughts into the things. You see what we're getting at? And so more of it begins to make sense, but you don't need the details of it. It's like all of these components begin to show themselves to you. In other words, in a sense, it's like the other end of the stick all over again. Creation is so fun. We want to say to you, you don't need to understand it, just enjoy the process of it. But then you say, well, I can't enjoy it unless I understand the process of it. So we tell you as much as we can tell you without messing you up, the process of it, and then you get going along and then you say, oh, but what if there are subconscious thoughts? And we say, there are all kinds of things that you don't need to focus upon, and your emotional guidance system will show you what's of value to think about and what isn't. It's simple. It's simpler than you've made it out to be. Did any of that make sense to you?